D.B. Cooper, the vanishing skyjacker. One man, one parachute, and $200,000 in stolen cash, vanished into thin air. This isn't fiction. This is the true story of the greatest unsolved hijacking in U.S. history. This is the legend of D.B. Cooper. The hijacking. On the afternoon of November 24, 1971, as the U.S. prepared for Thanksgiving, a man walked into Portland International Airport and bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. He gave his name as Dan Cooper, though that wouldn't be the name the world would remember him by. He was described as calm and well-dressed, dark suit, white shirt, black tie with a mother-of-pearl tie pin, and a pair of dark sunglasses. Shortly after takeoff, while the aircraft was cruising at 10,000 feet, Cooper handed a folded note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. At first, she thought it was just another come on. But then he leaned toward her and whispered, "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." Inside his briefcase, he revealed red cylinders attached to wires, batteries, what looked like dynamite. He calmly told her to sit beside him and take down his demands. They were clear. $200,000 in cash, all in $20 bills. 4 parachutes, 2 front, 2 back. Fuel truck ready in Seattle to refuel the plane for a getaway. What's striking is how polite he remained throughout the ordeal. Behind that composed demeanor was a man in full control of a hijacking, one that would shake the FBI for decades. The escape. The plane circled Puget Sound for hours while authorities scrambled to gather the ransom and parachutes. The FBI worked fast, marking the bills so they could be tracked later. At 5:39 p.m., the plane landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. True to his word, Cooper released all 36 passengers in exchange for the money and gear. Not a single passenger had any idea they'd just been through a hijacking. Now with just 5 people on board, himself, the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and a single flight attendant, Cooper issued new instructions. Fly toward Mexico City, but stay low, no higher than 10,000 feet. Keep the landing gear down, and fly at a slow speed. Keep the rear staircase extended, a unique feature of the 727. At 7:40 p.m., they were airborne again. Just 20 minutes later, somewhere over the wilderness of southwestern Washington, the crew noticed a sharp drop in cabin pressure. Cooper had opened the rear stairway. Then, without a word, he jumped. Into the night. Into a storm. Into freezing rain and 200 miles per hour winds. Wearing just a trench coat and loafers, with $200,000 strapped to his chest, he leapt into history. And he was gone. The investigation. The FBI launched NORJAC, the Northwest Hijacking Investigation, the most extensive manhunt of its time. They believed Cooper had landed somewhere near Ariel, Washington, a rugged, forested area filled with rivers, ravines, and endless pine trees. Helicopters scoured the wilderness. Divers searched lakes and rivers. Locals were questioned. Military experts were brought in. But despite the massive search effort, no trace of Cooper was ever found. No parachute, no clothing, no body. It seemed impossible. How could someone survive a leap like that in the dead of night? Some FBI agents believed he likely died on impact, lost in the woods, his remains never recovered. But without proof, the case couldn't be closed. Then, in 1980, a possible breakthrough. A young boy vacationing with his family on the Columbia River, some 20 miles from the suspected jump zone, uncovered 3 bundles of rotting $20 bills buried in the sand. The total, $5,800. They were confirmed as part of the Cooper ransom, serial numbers matched exactly. But the discovery only raised more questions. Rather than solving the case, the discovery deepened the mystery. Theories and suspects. Over the next 5 decades, over 1,000 suspects would come under scrutiny. One of the most talked about was Richard Floyd McCoy, who hijacked a plane in a similar way just months later, but he was ultimately ruled out, having been in a different city at the time of the Cooper hijacking. Another was Kenneth Christensen, a former paratrooper and airline employee who bore a striking resemblance to the sketch and lived quietly in Washington state. Perhaps the strangest theory came from Barbara Dayton, a transgender woman and experienced pilot who claimed she had committed the hijacking disguised as a man. Even conspiracy theories abound. Some suggest Cooper was a CIA agent, others believe he may have had inside knowledge of aircraft mechanics, possibly even airline procedures. In 2016, after 45 years of dead ends, the FBI closed the active investigation. Cooper's identity and fate remains unsolved. The world may never know, but the legend lives on. His name has become folklore, a symbol of rebellion, a puzzle with no final piece. But what do you think? Did he survive the jump? Is he still out there, living under a new name, or buried in the woods? Let me know your theory in the comments. And if you're into cold cases, legendary crimes, and unsolved history, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap that bell icon so you don't miss the next mystery.